Welcome to Module 4. What do I need to know about APA style? You may want to have the 6th edition of the APA manual with you as you review this module. We will refer to several pages in the manual during the presentation. Part of participating in a scholarly community is writing a document in a way that is accepted by the community of scholars who will read and use it. Different academic and professional fields use different styles. Medicine uses the AMA style, and most social sciences use the APA style. APA style is the style for preparing manuscripts according to the guidelines presented in the publication manual for the American Psychological Association, currently in its 6th edition. The APA manual provides guidelines for formatting and structuring a manuscript. These guidelines include both the elements required in a manuscript and the content of those elements. APA style also provides suggestions on how to write to meet the needs of a given audience. Perhaps most importantly, participating in a scholarly discussion requires giving credit to other authors and other scholars when you use their information in your work, and APA style provides a format for doing this. This module provides an overview of the 6th edition of the APA style. We will use examples to demonstrate requirements regarding the structure and format of a manuscript. Before we discuss required manuscript elements, we will look at general formatting guidelines. Unless otherwise indicated by your professors, each of your submitted papers must follow these guidelines for margins, font, text spacing, and paragraph indentation. Chapter 2 of the APA manual provides more detailed guidelines, with additional examples of formatting for specific sections of a manuscript. When preparing a manuscript, use the Times New Roman font at 12 point. Use 1-inch margins on all sides of a page. With the exception of the first line in each paragraph, align all lines of text with the left margin of the page. Right margins are jagged, do not justify the text. Double space all lines of text. Also, double space after lines in the title, headers and subheaders, figures and tables. Single spacing may only be used in figures and tables. Do not add additional space between lines of text to indicate a paragraph break. Maintain double spacing between paragraphs. Signify the beginning of a new paragraph by indenting the first line 5 to 7 spaces. Using the tab feature will ensure the consistency of indentations. Number pages consecutively, beginning with the title page. The preferred location for page numbers is in the header aligned with the right margin. When submitting a manuscript for publication, authors must adhere to a publication-specific guidelines for the content and structure of the manuscript. Most submissions in APA style will contain the elements presented here in this order. For course papers, instructors should provide guidance on whether abstracts are required. In general, the title page, body, and references will be a requirement in all courses. The use of tables, figures, and appendices may be assignment specific. The title page is the first page of a manuscript and must include 5 elements: the title, the running head, the author byline, the author's institutional affiliation, and the author's note. For your courses, the author's note will generally not be required, but the date of submission may be. The example shown has the date of submission included in the appropriate place on the title page. Page 41 of the APA manual provides an additional example of a title page. In APA style, an abstract is presented on a separate page after the title page. Not all of your professors will require an abstract, so ask if it is required for an assignment if specific guidance is not provided in your syllabus. When required, the abstract should present a brief but comprehensive summary of the contents of the article. It allows readers to survey the contents of the article quickly. This is described on page 25 of the APA manual. When crafting an abstract, ensure that it reflects the purpose and the content of the article or paper, and that it is concise, precise, and easily read. Page 41 of the APA manual provides an example of an abstract. All lines of the abstract are flush with the left margin and double-spaced. In general, abstracts are between 150 and 250 words. Chapter 2 of the 6th edition of the APA manual provides guidelines on the content of unique types of abstracts, such as those for empirical studies and those for literature reviews. The content of the body of the paper will depend on the type of manuscript you are submitting, whether it's an empirical study, theory-oriented paper, a methodological paper, a case study, or a literature review, for example. Here, we consider the common elements among manuscripts as they relate to the structure and content of the paper. In this example of the first page of the body of a paper, note the inclusion of the title on the paper on the first page of the text. The title does not appear on every page in the body of the paper. Rather, it is repeated only on the first page of the text following the title page. All papers include an introduction which presents the specific problem to be addressed. The introduction does not require a header. According to Chapter 1 of the APA manual, a good introduction considers the importance of the problem, relates the problem to previous work in the discipline, provides the hypotheses and objectives of the study if this is appropriate, and describes the theoretical and practical implications of the study if this is appropriate. After reading your introduction, the reader should understand the specific problem you address and how your manuscript joins the ongoing scholarly conversation regarding that problem. Your goal when creating a manuscript is to ensure that you present information in a concise, well-organized manner so readers easily understand the relationships among ideas. Using headings within the body can create a structure that is readily discernible to readers. At times, headings are prescribed. For example, in an experimental study, a required heading would be Methods, which may have subheadings of Participant Characteristics or Sampling Procedures. For reports of original research such as this, APA style prescribes the required headings and subheadings. However, for other types of manuscript, such as literature reviews, the author is left to determine appropriate headings. The example here presents a heading added to a student paper to indicate that a review of literature will follow in the next section. Headings serve as guideposts for readers. They should be concise, indicate the information presented in the section, and be organized in a logical manner. Paragraphs within headings and subheadings present the main ideas the author wants to convey. Paragraphs must be long enough to fully explain the idea, yet short enough to allow a pause for the reader to assimilate ideas. Paragraphs longer than a page in length may lose the reader's attention. The example on the screen shows a well-crafted paragraph in a student's paper. An additional example of a well-constructed paragraph can be found on page 43 of the APA manual. To craft effective paragraphs, add a topic sentence at the beginning of the paragraph to indicate the main idea. Vary sentence lengths to provide variety and increase the reader's interest. Tables and figures are tools for displaying large amounts of information in a concise format within a manuscript. Chapter 5 of the APA manual offers guidance on preparing tables and figures. Here, we are viewing examples from page 52 and 53 of the APA manual. General guidelines are that tables and figures must be referenced in the text of the manuscript and must be placed as close as possible to the reference. Tables and figures are referenced by number, not by title. Tables generally present numbers or textual information. Figures can include graphs, charts, drawings, or photographs. Titles for tables and figures must be concise and representative of information contained within. References are required after the body of a paper. The reference page allows readers to identify where to find the sources you used when writing your paper. An accurate reference page increases the credibility of your paper. Here, we are viewing a sample reference page from page 59 in the APA manual. On the reference page, list each outside source you used when writing your manuscript, whether the source was quoted directly, in which you copied words directly from another source, or paraphrased, in which you reworded ideas from another source, or presented as a synthesis or summary, in which ideas from several authors or several passages are presented together. References are also included for tables, figures, and illustrations borrowed from other sources. The word references appears as a header on the reference page. It is centered above the reference listings. Do not bold the word references. References are listed in alphabetical order by the first author's last name. Now, let's take a look at the basic information required in the citation of periodicals, or journals, magazines, newspapers, and newsletters, and the formatting for each. The author or authors' names are listed with the last name first and then the first and middle initials when available, in the order they appear in the manuscript. First author first, then second author, then third, etc. A period ends the listing of authors' names. Then the year the article was published is placed in parentheses. A period is placed after the closing parenthesis. The title of the article is presented, followed by a period. Only the first word of the article title and the first word after a colon are capitalized. The name of the journal follows in italics. Put a comma after the journal title. Next, the volume number of the journal is placed in italics, followed by the issue number in parentheses, but not in italics. A comma follows the closing parenthesis. Next, include the page numbers on which the article appeared, followed by a period. Finally, provide the Digital Object Identifier, or DOI, if one is assigned. Familiarize yourself with the unique requirements for all of the various documents you might use as references in a manuscript. The elements required in the citation and the formatting of those elements vary. For example, in a reference citation for a book, the location and name of a publisher is required. Chapter 7 in the 6th edition of the APA manual provides specific examples of reference citation for types and variations in sources you may use, such as book chapters or peer-reviewed journal articles.